What if I told you that quitting may be the smartest move you make? And not just quitting anything, quitting the things that we've been consistently told will make us more successful. Over the past 2 years, I have learnt this the hard way. My name is Faye, and I was tasked with building a 6-figure business whilst working full-time as a doctor. And through this experience, guess what? I realised I had been lied to. I stopped making to-do lists, I stopped striving for perfection, and I even stopped reading. Yes, reading. What's even more shocking than the things I quit are the systems that I swapped them for, because they did not just simplify my life, they made it more successful, streamlined, and stress-free. These are all the system swaps that I am going to discuss, starting with System 1, the quit list. Do you ever feel like your to-do list is a never-ending monster demanding your attention 24/7? Here's the truth. Trying to do everything all at once is a one-way ticket to burnout town. You're not a machine, you're a human, and humans need a smarter way to prioritise. Because when we don't prioritise properly, we play the biggest trick we possibly could do on our brains. We tell ourselves that by cleaning out our wardrobe, we are somehow being as productive as doing that one task that actually matters, like preparing for your presentation tomorrow morning. Sounds familiar? This is when I discovered the Eisenhower Matrix, the system that has completely transformed the way that I organise my tasks. It is a really simple 2x2 grid that separates tasks based on urgency and importance. So on the top you have the labels urgent and not urgent. Anything that is due the next day will always go in the urgent column for me, and anything that can be done at any time at all with absolutely no repercussions, aka clearing out the drawer where I put everything with no organisation whatsoever, will go in non-urgent. Then along the side we have important and not important. How I try and sort this is based on the goals that are most important to me at that time. For example, when I was in medical school, one of my top goals was to graduate medical school, and ideally with a grade that was going to get me a job in London. So anything that contributed towards that priority goal was going to go in important, and anything that didn't would go in not important. By quitting my chaotic to-do lists and embracing this system, I've been able to focus on what truly matters. No more decision fatigue, no more procrastination disguised as productivity, just clarity and control. System 2, thrive stacking. As an ADHD girly, I used to sit and wait not so patiently for motivation to show up before I could get anything done. Spoiler alert! I was stood up every single time. But here's the secret I learned a little bit too late. Motivation is a myth. So I quit motivation and I swapped it for the poo sandwich.
What is the poo sandwich?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I love bread and I don't think I would like poo in my sandwich. So it's pairing a task that I dread, the poo, with two things I love before and after. The bread. Take running, for instance. Not long ago, I made the very, very, very silly decision to run the London Marathon. I am not someone who enjoys running. I thought that no one enjoyed running, and it was only very recently when I was speaking to someone and I realised, no, some people genuinely enjoy putting their bodies through that much pain. Conversely, I only enjoy running because I really like the feeling when you stop. But I digress. Obviously, my hatred of running has made it really difficult to train for the London Marathon. And on the days where I'm supposed to run my long runs, the thought of tying up my laces can be so overwhelming. I had absolutely no idea what was actually going to get me out the door. Enter the poo sandwich. I now pair my long runs with my favourite takeaway coffee at the beginning and a delicious warm croissant waiting for me at the finish line. Something I enjoy before and something I enjoy after. A slightly more intellectual way of referring to this concept is habit stacking, and it is backed by science. Habit stacking involves attaching a new habit to an established routine, which reduces reliance on motivation by piggybacking on existing neural pathways in the brain's basal ganglia, the region of the brain which is responsible for habit formation. By pairing a dreaded task like running with a croissant and coffee, you're essentially creating a stack where the existing reward system, so the anticipation of the coffee or the croissant, acts as a cue for the new habit. Over time, the brain links the two behaviours, automating the process. And studies also show that repetition strengthens these neural pathways, making them feel less effortful over time and thus streamlining your life. System 3, the AI helping hand. I used to think that being intellectual meant being able to sit at a book for hours and hours and hours in complete silence. As someone with ADHD, that sounds like absolute purgatory. So you can imagine in my first year of medical school, I was faced with two options: drag myself through hell backwards for 5 years to try and make this round peg fit in a square hole, or find another option that worked for me. During this process, I actually discovered that reading is actually pretty bad for learning. Research shows that passive activities like reading are not nearly as effective as active methods that can improve information retention by up to 50% in comparison to reading. So I went the entire way through medical school never using a book to study. Yes, you heard that right. I completely quit reading. However, now in my career as a doctor, where I'm not just focused on passing exams and I have to consume the most up-to-date research on different medications and conditions, I am faced with this dilemma once again: to read or not to read. This is when I decided to embrace Unriddle AI. If you're like me and you love deep diving into the research and understanding the science behind why some things work and others don't, but sometimes get lost in the sheer volume of information, Unriddle will become your new best friend. Instead of labouring through dense texts, I now interact directly with the research. I can ask questions, explore studies in detail, and receive real-life explanations that truly speak to the way my brain works. Unriddle is a complete game changer when it comes to simplifying and organising complex research. With its AI-powered tools, I could quickly summarise and extract key insights from PDFs, Word documents, and even images and videos. Gone are the days of spending hours hunting through multiple sources. It also made it easy to cite everything properly. Just highlight the text, click cite, and let Unriddle do the rest. But the best part, it connects related research papers, revealing hidden links between studies, which helped me compile a well-rounded, evidence-based approach for this video. Whether you're researching for work, school, or just your own interest, Unriddle saves you time and effort, keeping you focused on the content that truly matters. If you want to get more done faster, then check out unriddle.ai. I will leave the link below in my description box because it is a complete game changer. System 4, the quick hit rule. I want to take you back to 16-year-old Faye. I did not get the grades that I needed to get into medical school the first time around, and it's no surprise because I remember sitting on my kitchen floor in my parents' house, maybe the weekend before my biggest exams, just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on Instagram for honestly, I think about 8 hours straight. I used to be trapped in a constant cycle of procrastination, delaying tasks because of the most ignored factor when it comes to procrastination, full stop: fear. Here's the thing, too often you see procrastination as a form of laziness. But it isn't laziness at all. It's your brain's way of saying to you, this feels too big and overwhelming. So I quit procrastination. And how, I hear you ask? Enter the quick hit rule. I started tackling tasks that would take less than 2 minutes. Do 10 flashcards, write the first sentence, stick my clothes in the laundry, rather than letting the weight of an endless to-do list paralyse me. This tiny shift broke the inertia and created a snowball effect of productivity. Science supports this approach. Research on breaking tasks into micro actions indicates that by reducing the initiation threshold, aka the energy required to
get you off your ass,
you are significantly more likely to get started working on these tasks. For my science girlies, I need you to think of it like you're throwing a catalyst in to lower the activation energy and get the reaction, aka the task that you've been avoiding, going. System 5, the second brain. I honestly break out into cold sweats every time I think of the fact that up until I think my third year of medical school, I used to plan out my weeks on my notes app on my phone. As in, on a Sunday, I would just write out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and try and remember as many things that I had to do on each of those days, and then just muddle my way through the week, hoping that I didn't forget anything. Spoiler,
I did.
my thoughts were scattered and I constantly felt overwhelmed by the chaos. I also felt really busy, but I wasn't truly productive or focused. That's when I quit and I upgraded to a second brain system using tools like Notion or X-Tiles. Sometimes I still use my notes app just to get down random thoughts, but now all those random thoughts, ideas, tasks, and reflections are moved into an organised space. And research shows why this leads to more success and a simpler life. The extended mind hypothesis suggests that tools and digital systems can function as extensions of our cognitive processes, aka all the mess that is going on inside our brain. In other words, when we take a sophisticated note-taking system, we're not offloading our thoughts, we're actually increasing our brain's capacity. Another study found that relying on external memory systems changes how we allocate our mental resources. By freeing up our working memory from the burden of remembering every tiny little detail, we can focus on higher order thinking and creative problem solving. Think of it like deleting all the random crap on your laptop so that it can work quicker. System 6, the beauty in the cracks. Like most medics, I was caught in a vicious cycle of perfectionism, believing that if something wasn't 100% flawless, it wasn't worth completing. I'd agonise over every minute detail, endlessly rework projects, and beat myself up when a new habit inevitably failed, to the point where I developed this image of myself as someone who just couldn't get things right and was destined for failure. But here's the truth. Perfectionism is a trap. It leads to burnout, anxiety, and procrastination. So I quit perfection and I embraced a much more human approach, the 80-20 rule. This is a mindset that recognises that if you're doing things right 80% of the time, that is more manageable and achievable than chasing the elusive 100. I apply it to every single aspect of my life. If I'm eating nutrient-dense and minimally processed foods 80% of the time, then enjoying my mini Colin the Caterpillars in moderation is not going to undo that. Or if I'm sticking to habits 80% of the time, that is better than trying to stick to them 100% of the time, failing, feeling crap, and then never doing them again. Research in organisational behaviour has shown that striving for absolute perfection can lead to decision paralysis, increased stress, and even burnout. Whereas those who accept imperfection tend to take action more readily and achieve more in the long run. Quitting perfectionism has not just improved my productivity, but it's also boosted my self-esteem and helped me maintain a more healthier, sustainable approach to achieving my goals. System 7, the elusive clean girl aesthetic. My flat used to look like it had been hit by a hurricane every single day. If you have been here since the medical school vlogs, then you will know clean girl really is not my aesthetic. But clutter isn't just messy, it's a mental health hazard. Research indicates that clutter can negatively impact mental health, contributing to increased stress and difficulty concentrating. It is literally a productivity killer. So very recently, I quit my attitude that I'm just not a tidy person because I adopted a life-changing mantra that I heard, which is, don't put it down, put it away. I basically saw it on a reel where the creator said there's one difference between tidy households and untidy households, and that is in the tidy households, when they're holding an object, instead of just putting it down and then creating an extra task later on down the line of having to put it away, they take that extra few seconds to put it in the correct place away. This ridiculously simple practice prevents clutter from accumulating and maintains a sense of order. Now you know things I quit to simplify my life, but maybe you want to know how I built up a healthy lifestyle and how you can do the same thing in 2025 by watching this video here. Or maybe you want to watch this video below, which has been specifically recommended for you based on what you're interested in. Or maybe you love this video so much you never want to miss another one, so you can click the subscribe button just here. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.